Since we are destined to live out our lives in the prison of our minds, our one duty is to furnish it well. Good advice from Peter Ustinov. One of the first signs of the beginning of understanding is the wish to die. This life appears unbearable, another unattainable. One is no longer ashamed of wanting to die. One asks to be moved from the old cell, which one hates, to a new one, which one will only in time come to hate. In this, there is also a residue of belief that during the move, the master will chance to come along the corridor, look at the prisoner and say, "This man is not to be locked up again. He is to come with me." Those are the words of Franz Kafka, a German-Czech author from the early 20th century whose stories left us the legacy of the word Kafkaesque to describe bizarre, surreal social situations and mind-bogglingly nonsensical bureaucrats. All fictional, of course. There's no fate, but what we make for ourselves. Those are the words of John Connor, JC. Interesting, isn't it? You can see that they were going for an allegory there, or a little parallel, in Terminator 2. Well, I think a lot of people have come to the conclusion that all of these things are not just foreshadowing, but some kind of predictive programming, which implies then that it all must be, will have, come to pass, and that nothing about the future can be avoided, it cannot be changed. So it locks us into a sense of helplessness, impotence, inaction. So it breaks our spirit before we've even tried. I know it's easier said than done to pick oneself up by one's bootstraps. It's the conundrum of life. It's the how does something get started in the first place? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? How does abiogenesis happen? In other words, how does life spontaneously appear when it wasn't there already? How do my spirits become strong when they're weak? Because I need some energy to lift them. But where do I get that energy from if I feel like my spirits have been already depleted? Yeah, it is a difficult conundrum. But we must train ourselves not to give up, and if there's nobody else around to lift us, that we must lift ourselves up. Just resolve to do that, even if we don't believe ourselves at first. This is how you lie to yourself. For good, in a good way. With benevolent or with positive intentions. It's a bit like fake it till you make it, is usually a bad rule. But if you keep giving yourself a well-intended, gentle push in the back, eventually you'll gather enough momentum. We can't give up yet. I don't know why, I can't prove it to you. But I feel it. It's not something I can prove, I just feel it. And what's the worst that could happen if I'm wrong? We were all doomed anyway, right? So why not stick around and see how the story ends? Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. Minds innocent and quiet, take that for a hermitage. If I have freedom in my love, and in my soul am free, angels alone that soar above enjoy such liberty. Those are the last lines of a poem written in 1642 by a man called Richard Lovelace, from prison to a woman who he called Althea. And what was he imprisoned for? Well, for objecting to a so-called Parliament Reform Bill in London called the Clergy Act of 1640, also known as the gentle and helpful sounding Clerical Disabilities Act. This bill was introduced by the Puritans. You may have heard of them. They were a group of people who were so sure that they had all the correct opinions and a monopoly on the right modes of behaviour that they were determined to legally enforce them on everybody else by any means necessary. They wanted to use this bill to remove the bishops from the House of Lords, so there would be nobody left who would oppose the introduction of new restrictive laws they wanted to bring in, which they intended to use to police people's behaviour. I wonder, does any of that sound familiar at all? Where are the Puritans now? Did they ever really go away? You see, I think that these people, they just keep rebranding themselves throughout the generations, and they keep coming back. And I don't think that they even really believe in any of what they say particularly. I think these people just have a desperate desire to be in charge of everybody else. They just really want to be the people in control. And I think, unfortunately, our time has come now, just like it does for every generation, to fight these people and act as a counterbalance to them. But of course, we're limited in the way that we can fight. Just like each individual chess piece on a chessboard can only move in a certain way. But whatever way that we can move, and that is to say, use our abilities, then we should.